Yeah.
And is this why you say we wrestle with God? We're not just taking every word of the Bible on its face. We are pulling from it.
You can't. You can't take every word on its face. It's not even technically possible because the meaning of each word is dependent on, well, the word, obviously, but the history of the word, and then the history of the word insofar as you've encountered it, and then the word in that phrase, and then the phrase in that sentence, and then the sentence in its paragraph, and then all of the relationships between all of those levels and all the other sentences and paragraphs in the whole book. Like, it's not like you can point to the facts in the Bible. I mean, that just doesn't work because the Bible's actually the structure through which, the reason it doesn't work is because the biblical corpus is a representation of the structure through which facts are interpreted. It's not the facts themselves. It's a deeper form of truth. It's a deeper form of truth.
Okay, well
it's
let me
the
say
truth
something.
through which truth is seen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think what I hear you saying is you need the narrative because the narrative forces a hierarchical structure to the facts that are being discussed, and without that,
Perceived even.
it gives you a framework with which to order the facts that you're trying to deal with, so that
That's right.
you don't have to reinvent that sequencing of hierarchical facts
Right?
alone by yourself.
Well,
each
it
and every
also
time.
gives you protection against the false consensus of the group.
Whoa, say that again.
Well, look, people might say, they might say, well, our knowledge is only a social construct, and then maybe they mean truth by consensus. You know, so let's assume that there's a world of facts that you can orient yourself in. We'll just leave that as an assumption for now, and then we'll say, well, people come to truth by consensus. It's okay. Well, what if the consensus is the Nazi consensus? Well, then either that's a transgression against a more fundamental truth, or it's just a variant of an infinite number of equally valid consensual truths. Well, you can go down that morally relativistic pit if you want, but that's a form of hell because eventually the logical culmination of that mode of thinking is that there's no value distinction between things, in which case you can't even move forward because you only move forward towards something better. And so it just leaves you bereft. Now, the alternative is to say, well, there is a central core of hierarchical truth, and that to some great degree that's embedded in tradition, in which case we can use tradition as the staff, the flagpole, let's say, like Moses' staff, which is exactly what Moses' staff represents, by the way. That's the tradition around which even our consensus must revolve. Right? And that's the conservative insistence. That's one way of thinking about it, is that there's a vertical axis of orientation upward towards God, mediated by tradition, and there's a horizontal axis that's part of the ongoing conversation and consensus of the moment. But you got to ask yourself, and you already have asked this question. It's the question Solzhenitsyn posed. If everyone has gone insane, if everyone's possessed by the lie, well, first of all, to make that claim is also to make the assumption that there's some truth that's now being ignored. But then on what grounds does the man who is honest stand? Because it's obviously not on the grounds of consensus, because the consensus is the lie. That's the nature of a totalitarian state, right? When the consensus becomes the lie, you're in a totalitarian state. And that obviously it indicates more directly that there's a truth. There's a truth outside of that. Now, the truth is a process rather than a statement of facts or even a statement of faith. You know, and partly because of the mode of Enlightenment thinking, we think, even Christians think, and probably especially Protestants, not that I'm singling out the Protestants because that wouldn't be fair, that, you know, to believe in Jesus is to say a set of facts and then say you believe them like they're a scientific theory. Well, you're missing the point, which is what the Orthodox Christians have been trying to tell the Protestants for a very long time. And the Protestants know this to some degree. The point is the imitation of Christ. That's the ultimate expression of faith. It's not it can also be proclamation of a set of beliefs, but that's not what it is fundamentally.
When you say faith, what do you mean? Faith that it will work?
Faith is what you bet your life on. But that's a definition.
I worry that a lot of people bet their life on that this is really true because then they can just spout the bumper stickers and they can shut the argument down.
They're not just betting their life, they're betting their soul, right? That's worse. Life, that disappears with death.
Let me play with an idea here really fast. Is it possible that part of what makes religion so useful is that even if you are trying to treat it like a dead bumper sticker slogan, that the wisdom that it encapsulates is so useful that even if you were just blindly doing it because God told you to do, that your life will be better than if you were to not.
Well, yes. And I would also say that even if you don't think so, your belief structure is permeated by the implicit beliefs. Dawkins believes in the truth.